Chapter 5 Energy and Connection. As awareness deepens, the sense of separation between you and all that is begins to unravel, revealing a profound truth. The self is not a collection of fragmented thoughts, emotions, or identities, but rather a seamless, undivided presence. This transformation is not an achievement or a destination. It is a quiet recognition of what has always been. In the stillness of the present moment, as emotional the blockages dissolve and the false self is seen with clarity, a natural unfolding of life takes place. Peace does not arrive as a reward, it emerges as the very essence of being. Outwardly, life may seem unchanged, but inwardly, profound energetic shifts are quietly transforming everything. These are not personal triumphs or milestones to be claimed. They are the natural consequence of returning to the source. Old patterns and emotional residue dissolve not through force, but through the gentle illumination of awareness. What remains is a spontaneous openness to life, a quiet wonder, and a deep vibrational harmony with the true self. This energy is not something to acquire or control. It is what you are. The true self is not separate from energy of life. It is life. As identification with the false self loosens, the vibrational frequency naturally rises, not as a to ascend to something higher, but a shedding of what once obscured the ever-present reality of unconditional love and peace of the true self. At this stage, sensitivity to energy becomes more refined. Subtle shifts in vibration are felt more clearly, like ripples on a still pond. With the free will, the capacity to consciously align with this energy, not to manipulate it, but to move in harmony with it. This chapter explores how to attune to inner energy, not as a method or technique, but as a remembrance of your essential nature. The infinite energy of being. Within each person lies infinite energy, not as a resource to be tapped, but as the very nature of being. When this energy is unobstructed by identification with thought or emotion, it radiates love, clarity, and peace. It is not something to be gained, but something to be recognized. The human experience is simply the play of energy in form. Whether one is open to it or not, the energy remains unchanged, always whole, always present. When one lives from this recognition, energy flows effortlessly. The cup overflows, not because it is filled, but because it was never empty. This overflowing is not for personal gain, but it naturally touches everything and everyone in its presence. There is no effort in this. It is the spontaneous expression of the true self. As Albert Einstein said, everything is energy, and that is all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy, this is physics. End quote, Albert Einstein. Everything is energy, and the key insight is that there is no separation between the observer and the observed. The energy that animates the body, the thoughts, and the world is one and the same. To recognize this is to step out of the illusion of duality, where one believes they are separate from life, and into the truth of unity consciousness. Energy is not something to be controlled or manipulated. It is to be witnessed, allowed, and aligned with. When people resist or block energy through their judgments, attachments, or identifications, or even roles, they experience suffering. But when they allow energy to flow, they return to their natural state of ease and clarity. This is not about becoming something powerful in an egoic sense, but it is realizing that the power was never separate. The true self is not a person, it is the awareness behind the mask, the light that shines through all forms. As this recognition deepens, life is no longer something happening to you, but something arising as you. All previous chapters point to this. The eternal, all-loving, all-powerful essence is not somewhere else. It is what you are. The false self, with its thoughts, behaviors, and attachments, is a temporary experience. The true self is the silent witness, always present, always free. And when this is seen clearly, responsibility for one's reality is no longer a burden. It is complete liberation. The energy of creation. Every experience in life arises from the energy field of consciousness itself. What appears as a personal story, where one lives, work one does, the relationships and the emotions encountered, is not separate from the energy that gives rise to it. Life is not happening to anyone, it is unfolding as them. The idea of being a victim dissolves when it is seen that the experiencer and the experience are not two. This can be difficult to accept, especially in the face of deep suffering. Yet suffering too is part of the unfolding, often serving as a powerful invitation to awaken. In these darkest moments, when the false self begins to crack, there is often a sudden clarity, a call to remember what has always been true. These moments, whether through loss, illness, upheaval, are not punishments, but they are powerful portals. They reveal that the peace we seek was never outside of us. What matters is not what happens, but how energy responds. In each moment, there is a choice, not of circumstance, but of alignment. Will the response come from contracted energy of the false self, or from the spacious awareness of the true self? This choice shapes the unfolding path, not towards light or darkness as opposites, but towards clarity or confusion, presence or resistance. Thought, emotion, and frequency. Every thought carries a frequency, every emotion a vibration. These are not abstract ideas, they are energetic signatures that ripple through the field of consciousness. A thought rooted in fear or lack resonates differently than one arising from peace or love. And yet neither is inherently good or bad, they simply are movements of energy. The universe as consciousness responds not to the surface of thought, but the depth of a belief behind it. A fleeting negative thought has little power unless it is charged with a belief. But when the thought is deeply believed, when it becomes part of the false self's identity, it sends a strong vibrational signal, and this signal, in turn, shapes the appearance of your reality. Fortunately, not all thoughts manifest with equal force. The most potent are those infused with emotional intensity and rooted in core beliefs. If someone believes they are unworthy, that belief will color their experience until it is seen through and released. Conversely, when someone truly knows that they are loved and whole, that knowing radiates outward and draws experiences that reflect that. The universe, or more accurately, the unified field of being, resonates at the frequency of unconditional love, peace, and abundance. Thoughts aligned with this frequency are more naturally powerful, not because they are better, but because they are closer to the truth of what is. Breaking the pattern of the false self. Patterns repeat not because life is cruel, but because the false self clings to its stories. When a person experiences the same challenges again and again, it is often because a core belief remains unexamined. For example, someone who struggles to find a partner may carry a belief that they are unlovable or destined to be alone. This belief, though unconscious, sends a signal that shapes their experience. Even if the perfect partner appears, the false self may not recognize them because it is still looking through the lens of lack. The pattern breaks not through effort, but through awareness. When a belief is seen for what it is, a thought, not a truth, it begins to dissolve. What remains is spaciousness of the true self, in which love and connection are already present. As these false beliefs fall away, the energy shifts. The signal sent to the field changes from one of lack to one of wholeness. What returns may or may not be a partner, but it may be something entirely unexpected. But whatever arises will be in harmony with the new frequency of being. This is not about manifesting desires through control. It is about aligning with what is already true. The more one lives from the true self, the more life reflects truth, not as a reward, but as a mirror. When life is met with openness, gratitude, and a quiet expectation of goodness, not as a demand, but as a natural trust in the unfolding, life responds in kind. This is not about forcing positivity, but aligning with the deeper truth that life, at its core, is benevolent. When one begins and ends the day with gratitude and a gentle openness to possibility, the energetic tone of the day shifts. Repeated daily, this becomes not just a habit, but a vibrational recalibration of one's entire life. This shift is not about controlling outcomes, but it is about releasing resistance. When fear and contraction are let go, the field of possibility opens. Life begins to move in unexpected and beautiful ways, not because something external has changed, but because the inner lens has cleared. Even when the energy of a day feels heavy or dark, there is always the power to pause, choose again, and send a new signal. This doesn't require a leap from despair to joy. Sometimes the most powerful shift is just to simply rest in neutrality, a space of non resistance where healing begins. Neutrality is not indifference, it is a spaciousness that allows energy to move. From this space, the door to positivity opens naturally. In neutrality, no one is no longer reinforcing the false self narrative or lack of limitation. Instead, one is resting in awareness, allowing energy of the true self to emerge. The frequency of words. Just as thoughts carry energy, so do words. Every word spoken is an energetic transmission shaped by the speaker's state of consciousness and the inherent vibration of the words themselves. Words can uplift, diminish, or simply hold space. When spoken from true, eternal presence, words become instruments of healing and alignment. Words are sacred. They are not just sounds, they are frequencies. When spoken unconsciously, they echo the patterns of the false self. When spoken with intention, they become tools of transformation. Guard your words with love. Let them reflect the truth of who you are, not the illusions of who you are not. Be mindful of energy inputs. As the connection of the true self deepens, life becomes more vibrant, not because anything has changed, but because perception has cleared. The true self has always been connected to infinite loving energy, but to remain attuned, one also be mindful of what is being received energetically. Everything you consume, Conversations, media, environments, alcohol, even your thoughts affects your energetic field. Awareness of these inputs allows for a conscious choice. If something lowers your vibrational experience, it is not wrong, it is simply a signal. Adjust, realign, and return to presence. Energy inputs shape energy outputs. When you nourish your field with love, clarity, and truth, your life reflects that. This is not about perfection, but about presence. The more you live from the true self, the more energetic, more naturally your energy flows, and the more effortlessly your life unfolds. Relationships. Everyone has experienced relationships that seem to drain their energy, sometimes subtly, sometimes profoundly. These interactions may not always be overly negative, yet something about the dynamic leaves one depleted. As awareness deepens and the connection to the true self strengthens, these energetic imbalances become more noticeable. The initial impulse may be to withdraw or cut ties, but from the perspective of awakening, relationships are not accidents, they are invitations. Difficult relationships often arise as mirrors, reflecting aspects of the false self that are ready to be seen, healed, and released. The false self seeks to blame others for their discomfort, but the true self recognizes that all experiences arise within the consciousness for the purpose of growth. When resistance is dropped and presence is brought into the relationship, the deeper lessons begin to reveal itself. The true self does not see others as separate. It knows that there is no other, only one consciousness appearing as many. From this understanding, judgment dissolves, and what remains is compassion, clarity, and love. As one awakens, relationships naturally shift. Some dissolve because the energetic resonance is no longer aligned. Others deepen, transformed by the presence of love and non-judgment. In either case, the key is to remain rooted in compassion. Whether a relationship ends or evolves, it is not a failure, it is a reflection of energetic truth. Two outcomes are very common. Number one, the relationship dissolves because the energetic frequencies no longer match. Two, the relationship transforms as the person's presence uplifts the other, creating a new shared resonance. In both cases, the invitation is the same. Respond with love, not resistance. Even those heavily identified with the false self can feel the subtle power of unconditional love. It speaks to the truth within them, and even if they are not ready to respond. If someone chooses to leave, let them go with love. Their path is sacred, even if it diverges from yours. In romantic relationships, for example, one partner may awaken and begin to see the toxicity of the dynamic. If the other is not receptive, the relationship may naturally fall away. But if both partners are willing to meet each other with openness and compassion, the relationship can become a powerful space for mutual awakening. The call of unconditional love. Unconditional love is the frequency of the true self. It is not sentimental or passive. It is powerful, clear, and transformative. When expressed in relationships, it calls forth the same in others. This is why figures like Mother Teresa move so many. Her love was not personal, but universal. It bypassed the false self and touched the heart of being. In relationships where leaving is not an option, such as a parent and a child, the same principles apply. Practice non-judgment, offer compassion, see the other not as their behavior, but as the light behind the mask. Even if someone is not returned, even if love is not returned, it is never wasted. It plants seeds in the field of consciousness that may bloom in time. Look for what is good in the other. Sincerely appreciate it. This shifts the energetic dynamic. What is appreciated expands. When the false self is in control, it fixates on flaws and magnifies them. But the true self sees through the illusion and sees love is the only way forward. As spoken in the previous chapter, forgiveness is often the bridge to unconditional love. It is not about condoning harmful behavior, but it is about releasing the energetic burden of judgment. In many relationships, especially between parents and children, there is pain, misunderstanding, and unmet expectation. But each soul has their own path. You can offer guidance, but you cannot walk the path for another. If your child chooses a path you would not choose for them, or any person for that matter, continue to love them. Let your presence say, I am here, I love you, no matter what. This is the essence of unconditional love, not approval, but unwavering presence. The gift of challenging relationships. Relationships that once depleted you may no longer do so when approached from the true self. What once felt like a burden becomes a teacher. Many of the most difficult relationships are the greatest opportunity for spiritual growth. They are not obstacles, they are catalysts. It is not by chance that you are in relationships that you are in. Each one is a sacred appointment. When met with presence, compassion, and love, even the most painful dynamics become portals to awakening. Integration, living from the true self. As we journey deeper into the recognition of the true self, a profound shift occurs, not in the external world, but how we relate to it. Life is no longer something that's happening to us, but something arising as us. The energy we carry, the words we speak, the thoughts we entertain, the relationships we nurture, all become a reflection of our inner state. When we align with the frequency of presence, gratitude, unconditional love, we begin to live not from effort, but from flow. This is the essence of inner energy, not something to be acquired, but something to be remembered. Each moment offers a choice to respond from the false self rooted in separation and judgment, or from the true self grounded in unity and compassion. Whether we are navigating a difficult relationship, shifting our mindset from negativity to neutrality, or we are shaping our reality through our vibration. The universe responds not to our words alone, but to the energy behind them. When we speak and act from love, we send a signal that harmonizes with the deeper truth of existence. Ultimately, awakening is not about escaping the human experience. It is about embracing it fully with clarity and grace. The most challenging relationships, the darkest days, and even the heaviest emotions are not obstacles, but invitations. They call us inward towards the spaciousness of the true self, where peace is not dependent on circumstances and love is not withheld. In this space, life becomes a sacred dance of energy, awareness, and connection. And from this space, we begin to live moment by moment, not as separate beings trying to survive, but as one consciousness expressing itself through the miracle of being. In Chapter 5.